Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Friday. It's April 5th. It is 2024. We have a nice 7-game baseball slate to talk about here on today's podcast. Joined today by my good buddy, Will Priester, ChiefJustice. So 6. Chief, I will say, the chat has been riled up, and I think we have now set the line at 1.5 for mutes. So we'll have some fun with that. What's happening, my friend?
Nothing much, man. Glad to come on. I am going to try to be the house today and take everyone's money. You will not make money off my mutes today. You guys got to learn how to win this thing. You got to not bring it up and just let nature take its course. Now that you've brought it up, Steve, I'm going to be hyper aware. I may have some delayed responses, but I will not move my mouth without clicking the unmute button. I want all the house money here in my pocket today.
Yeah, you guys brought it up. That's what you gotta wait. You can't bring it up. So now he's aware of it. So all right, well. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday night over there on YouTube, and pumped to have Will on. And nice slate, a lot of pitching. Day baseball on Friday, just fantastic. We're not talking about that slate, but just we're getting some day baseball on a Friday, and a nice little 7-gamer here starts at 6:40 Eastern. Weather looks okay here. Obviously it's the night before, but gosh, I love when the weather's okay and we can break this thing down and have some fun. We get started at the top. Mets, Reds, 9 total. Pretty much a pick'em game. Cincinnati, a very slight favorite in this one. Jose Quintana, Hunter Green. Let's go Jose Quintana first. Any interest here in Quintana?
No.
He's like, I'm not even playing around. Like, we're getting the quick nose already. We're not getting muted mics. Quick nose. I mean, Jose Quintana for me almost always is a no. He's not a high ceiling guy. We have a lot of great pitching on this slate. I think I'm going to pass on him as well. The other side of this, we got Hunter Green. He threw 100 pitches in his first start. He struggled with a little bit of command, but 100 pitches. They were really trying to get him that 5th inning. That last out of the 4th inning, or last out of the 5th inning. Any interest here in Hunter Green at 8,300?
I do have interest in Hunter Green for tournaments. I probably wouldn't play him in cash, Stevie, but I mean, this is a guy that historically over his past 2 seasons has been close to a 30% K guy. And so, when we're saying, hey, he's got the juice here. I mean, even in that game, tough game against Washington, like you said, struggled with command, 4 walks, still had 7 strikeouts, Stevie. Like, that's it. If for some reason when BABIP is in his favor, he's got 30 to 40 point upside on DraftKings. We just got to hope that, he can pitch around the Mets a little bit in the Great American Small Park. I think for tournaments at 8,300, he's in. I'm not fading him for tournaments in mass multi-entry.
Yeah, I think chasing some strikeout upside is definitely worth it here. I mean, it's been a really slow start to the season pretty much for the whole Mets lineup. They finally got their first win against Detroit in Game 2 of the doubleheader on Thursday. But slow start for Stewart, McNeil, Beatty. Like, these guys are striking out at huge clips. So obviously it helps when you go from like Citi Field to the Great American Small Park. You're going from one of the worst hitting ballparks in baseball to one of the best hitting ballparks in baseball. So let's talk about these Mets bats on teams that you're not playing Hunter Green. Because, I mean, we're not playing Hunter Green 100% here by any means. He does give up a lot of hard contact. It is a very small ballpark. He is a fly ball guy to lefties. I think we chase some home runs here. It's been a slow start for the Mets, but you obviously could chase a home run with Alonso against anybody. But I think this is a spot you could potentially chase a home run with like DJ Stewart, Brett Beatty, Francisco Lindor is someone that definitely gets a bump in this spot. So I don't know if I full stack the Mets. I definitely consider them a secondary stack here. What are your thoughts on the Mets?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely think, in terms of, even if we're not saying strictly one-off, Stevie, so many stacks of, Lindor, Nemo, Lindor, McNeil, Lindor, Stewart, Nemo, Stewart, McNeil, different things. And I think that's something we can get roll around with. I will say, if I'm going 3-man, I got to have Alonso in some of them. Like, he's their power guy, the polar bear himself. And I know Hunter Green, once again, man, huge strikeout guy. But if we're going to get home runs, I think he's in the mix. So he would definitely be on my radar. Once again, I'm with you. Don't want to completely stack the Mets, but some mini stacks 2 to 3, I think, is definitely reasonable and within the cards for this team.
Going to the other side, the Reds, Jose Quintana is hittable. I think that's the nicest way to put what Jose Quintana does. Low strikeout guy, and he gets hit. He generates some ground balls. He does a good job of doing that. He does a good job of limiting hard contact, but we're also getting now like to the end part of Jose Quintana's career, and I just feel like this is going to be a year that we're really going to be picking on him, and he's going to get hit hard. The Reds have like this really young, high upside offense. What are your thoughts on the Reds bats?
Yeah, man, love the Reds bats. I think a lot of people are going to like the Reds bats, Stevie. They've kind of come into the season as the darling team just for DFS, just in terms of pure matchup. They opened up the season, with bad pitchers, it felt like, and we've just been playing them ever since. But I think one of the main reasons for that, Steve, is they're still not overpriced. Really, they're one, let's call it name value bat. Ellie De La Cruz, he's 5,300. Outside of that, Stevie, everybody else is very reasonable. Their most expensive catcher is Stevenson's 3,600. Encarnacion Strand, 4,300. India, 45. Now, India was in the 3K range. He has come up since the Open. But Candelario, he's 4,400, and I think he should play. I don't think he's going to be out here. Like I said, Ellie's over 5K. Steer, 4,700. Benson, 3,900. I know Martini's a lefty. Will he play today? I feel like he's their everyday guy. He's 3,700. My point, Steve, is they're just not overpriced. And I think that alone, when you talked about them being a young, high upside team, I think a lot of people will end up liking them. Whereas this slate isn't huge. I do want to check their ownership. Right now, I'm in. If they get if the ownership's a little bit too high, maybe I taper my ownership levels in my build. But all in all, right now, Cincinnati's a great team to play today.
Yeah, love this spot. Just in general, Spencer Steer should draw like a third or fourth spot in the lineup here. He was hot in spring, and he hasn't slowed down. He's just been hitting the ball every time he gets up to the plate. It feels like he had a great series against Philly. 6 for 13 in that series with multiple. I think he had 3 extra base hits. So Steer just keeps crushing the ball. We should get Fraley out of the lineup here. So Stuart Fairchild and Fraley are platooning each other this year. So you should get Stuart Fairchild in the lineup here, depending on where he hits. He's a guy, a solid on base guy. Definitely gets a bump with the pitcher that doesn't have a huge strikeout rate. It'd be interesting to see if they catch Stevenson or Mali. I would assume they catch Stevenson because they did have a day off on Thursday, but either one of those catchers that draw the start here are in play. We should mention Candelario left the game on Wednesday with, it looked like an elbow injury. So we'll see if he's back or not. But yeah, I like the Reds. I think that this is a good game to target home runs. Get your home run bats in this game. It's a good game for home runs. 9 total. It's no secret. We got Philadelphia at Washington. Aaron Nola against Patrick Corbin. 8.5 total. Philly, a 180 favorite. Let's talk Aaron Nola. Big struggles opening day against the Atlanta Braves. And I'm like, okay, some of that is Atlanta Braves, but some of that is 12 hits. Like, Atlanta's good, but Aaron Nola struggling with command and giving the ball up over the plate too much in that game. What are your thoughts here when it goes to Nola after watching his first start of the season?
Stevie, this same thing happened last year. I'm actually starting to have real concerns. I'm not sure if you kind of remember last season.
Yeah, really slow start.
Yeah, struggled in spring training, carried that into this season. And really, he didn't have the best spring training this year, Stevie. He had some rough spots, and now he's carried that into the season. Now, I want to give him somewhat of a pass because, once again, he did face one of the best teams in baseball in terms of offense opening days. I get it. I'm also with you, Stevie. When you're giving up 12 hits, like if it's 6 hits, okay. Like that's 12 hits, Stevie, 7 runs, 2 home runs. I'm a little concerned here because Washington isn't going to strike out a ton in this spot, and he also didn't really have the strikeouts. Like if I would have seen 12 hits, 6 strikeouts, you're just kind of getting touched up, or 7 strikeouts in 4 innings. It's like, okay, like we've got something to balance out, the negative. But he only had 3 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings. The Braves are a much better offense than Washington. Don't get me wrong. I'm actually really concerned. I'm fading Nola today. And I know I went all around the way to say I'm fading him, but name value, he's a good pitcher. But we're starting to see he's starting to become a repeat offender in my book. I think by June, we'll probably change our tune, Steve. But right now, I'm not going to play him. I'm going to take the fade because we have enough good pitchers for me to reach with Aaron Nola, who may be struggling to start the season.
So I think I'm on the opposite side of you. I think this is a good buy low spot for everything that we saw. And the reason that I'm going to say, like, the weather in that game was awful. It was like a cold, misty, they even got some rain in that game. Like, I'm going to kind of chalk up, like, his swinging strike rate being down on just the fact that, like, if anybody's ever pitched in the cold and with a wet ball, like the baseball is almost impossible to grip. It's just awful. He only gave up 15% hard hits. He had a 556 BABIP in that game against Atlanta. If he's going to be chalky, I'm with Will. I'm out. But I do think that Nola is going to be someone that is going to go low owned on this slate because of how awful he was. And honestly, we talked about it all year, last year, all year. We've talked about it a little bit to start this season. Washington just doesn't have a great lineup again this year. This is a lineup we're going to target a lot. The bottom half of this lineup is awful. When one of your best power guys is Joey Gallo, who also gives you a 43% K rate, I mean, you have to have slight interest in pitching against Washington. I'm going to again, buy low here on Nola, and I like him today. I think this is an excellent bounce back spot. If he goes out and struggles in this spot, I'm worried. But I'm not going to worry about facing Atlanta, facing them in bad conditions, and having a 550 BABIP. That's like half of the balls being in play are hits, and that is just real. Like average BABIP is like I think 290. 550 is almost double that. Patrick Corbin, he's still not good at throwing baseballs. You said it. You're like, hey, the Reds have gotten some good matchups. Well, they got Patrick Corbin. That was one of the guys they faced. Corbin, he was awful in his first start of the season. Obviously, he's a guy that you're always worried about walks. The strikeout rate's way down. He got absolutely hammered in that game, looking at his hard hit rate from one start. Like, no chance I'm playing Patrick Corbin today, and I assume you're going to give me the old-fashioned quick no here.
Nope, no Corbin.
No, it would have been funny, though, Will, if you were like, I'm on the opposite side of you with this one. That would have been great.
No,
but
I think
not with Corbin.
I think the only person we've been opposite on so far this year, I think, was Blanco from Houston.
Yeah, and I was wrong, right? I didn't like him that much.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just, he
dominated them. I watched a lot of that start, and I mean, we've talked about it for years about the Blue Jays being bad against changeups, and he dominated them with the change. And then Javier tried to do the same thing. Was it 2 nights later or the next night? And he couldn't locate the changeup. Like he was locate. Yeah, he was pitching fine. He just couldn't locate.
I was like, what are you doing?
Let's talk Philly bats. I'm sure you're with me on this one. We have a lot of interest in Philly. Who do you like here?
See, I like everybody. Lefties, righties, you name it. I mean, but Castellanos should flash a little bit of power here. Trey Turner, 6,100, love him. Stott, Harper, Real Muto. Stevie, I like the whole team. I'm in.
Yeah.
Like lefties, righties, I'm in on a whole team here. No reason to not fade Philly. I'm hoping maybe because they're slightly more expensive than Cincinnati, Stevie, that they don't get as much ownership. Like I'm just hoping they don't get as much. And if so, beam me up, Scotty. I'm taking Philly all the way. This is a great spot for them today.
Yeah, and they haven't been platooning a lot. They've kind of let their lefties face lefties. They do have some platoon options if they do end up going down. They have Sosa. They got Patchy. They have some big bats like waiting in the wings there. Alec Boehm is great against lefties. I assume that he'll be in the lineup here. So, I mean, Castellanos is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate for DraftKings. He's $1,000 too cheap for this matchup against Patrick Corbin. I hope he's not popular, but he should be. So he's one of my favorite plays. But yeah, all these guys, I think it's just in general a fantastic spot for Philadelphia. Any interest here in the Washington bats?
I'm close, Stevie. I think, but here's what I think I'll do. I think I'll play them as a secondary in maybe 10%. The reason why I'm saying that, if for some reason Aaron Nola's really messed up right now, kind of like last season where he was having location problems, Stevie. Like he just couldn't put his pitches where he wanted them, and so he was hanging a lot of curveballs. They were right down the middle. And guys were just rattling off extra base hits. Like when I watched him pitch, I watched those starts because he was someone I was tracking. I didn't get a chance to watch this start against Atlanta begrudgingly. But if I can get my eyes on this one, I am going to try to watch it. And I just want to see where he's at. I think I take some Washington stack secondary, 3 or 4 mans, just in case he's just having another rough outing. But I'm not going to actively target him with this team where I'm going 5 deep.
Yeah, I think a hedge stack. Like if I build 5 teams and I have Nola on 3, building one of my other 2 teams a Nola with a hedge stack is fine. If you're playing like a 20-incher max and you're 25 to 35% Nola and you want to build 1 or 2 Washington stacks, I don't hate it. It's just, again, like, I mean, Abrams, Gallo are like your 2 power guys. They just, one of the reasons that I like Nola to bounce back here is because this lineup's just not great. So watching Martin Perez kind of beat down this lineup on Thursday, it's just, again, just goes to show like how bad Washington is again this year. I mean, I think they scored 2 runs off of Martin Perez, and Aaron Nola is a lot better than Martin Perez, even when Nola is like 75% Nola. So, moving on, we got Arizona at Atlanta facing your Braves. 8.5 total. Fun series. This is gonna be a good series. Maybe not this game, but this weekend series is gonna be great.
Early too. I mean, we're getting it early in the year too, Steve.
Yeah,
this is gonna be a fun one.
Atlanta is a 290 favorite. Tommy Henry against Spencer Strider. Arizona's like, all right, Strider's on the hill. We're just gonna throw Tommy Henry out here. He's just gonna be the guy. Yeah, I'm not playing Tommy Henry against the Atlanta Braves today.
Nope, not doing it.
Like, even if it wasn't like Atlanta, just Tommy Henry is a low. Like he ended the season at 16.8% last year. Gave up 45% hard hits to righties, and he just struggles just in general. Gosh, just bad, man. Just bad. Spencer Strider, he's 11K. I don't know. I'm like, Spencer Strider could put up 30 against any team, and he pitched against Aaron Nola in that game, and he dealt with the same kind of conditions. Like, again, that's why I feel like it was more conditions than it was, because like he had a subpar Spencer Strider game, still really good game. Like he threw 5 innings, had 8 strikeouts, gave up a couple runs. I just think it was conditions, and I feel like this is going to be way better conditions. Arizona is a great offense, but Spencer Strider is always a guy that I'm looking at for 10 plus strikeouts on any slate.
Yeah, this is an interesting one for me, Stevie, because once again, like you said, Arizona is a great offense. Are there spots during the year that I think we can fade Spencer Strider? I think today might be one of those days. I'm not saying I'm going to, Stevie, because once again, I mean, this is the highest upside pitcher we have in the league right now in terms of DFS. And it's, I don't want to say it's not close, but until DeGrom comes back, I mean, 100%, I don't think it's close. I think it's in terms of strikeout upside. Once again, strikeout upside for DFS. There's some other good pitchers, Stevie, that I think can get close enough to his score for a lot less. And that's where I'm really kind of trying to think through, do I want to play Strider today at this price? I think the answer, I want in my mind, I want to fade him, Stevie. In my heart, I don't think I can do it. He comes out here and goes 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, doesn't give up any runs. We'll be kicking ourselves knowing that this is always the highest upside pitcher. I think I play him because of his potential, not because of the spot today.
Yeah, the potential is there. Tough spot. I mean, when I play Spencer Strider, I usually end up like, again, I build 5 teams, so like my percentages are a lot different than like building 150. I usually will play him on like 3 or 4 or 5, because 3 or 4 of 5, if I said that too fast, because I felt like I said it too fast, typically never have 100% of a pitcher. I did, 2 days ago with Javier and Glasnow. I just played him on every team I built.
Yeah, I had 100% Glasnow. The slate called for that, though. Like, that was purely a slate dictation.
Right. So I think like today, I probably end up on like 2 of 5 on Strider and feel pretty confident about it, because like the mid tier on this slate, we haven't really talked about many of them, but the mid tier on this slate is absolutely loaded. There are a lot of good options. So
including
if I can get like,
we've already talked about.
Yeah, if we can get like 25 out of the mid tier, and if Strider scores like 30, 35, we're not too far behind if we get that like extra big bat in our lineup, and that bat outscores like one of those cheaper bats. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to play some Strider. I play Strider on every slate he pitches. Like, he is the most dominant strikeout pitcher in baseball. Like, he's one of the highest upside DFS guys, but he is the most dominant strikeout pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, Steven, I'll just bring this up from last year. Like, last year he faced Arizona, and I think everybody was like, oh, and this was more middle of the year by that time. He faced him early. It's like, man, Arizona's a tough lineup. And I think he went out there and legit got 10 strikeouts off these guys. Legit, like a strong 10, not like fooling around and lucked into it. You know how sometimes guys are in a jam and then they kind of have to pitch their way out of it? No, he just went out there and mowed them down like nobody's business. So I'm with you, man. Like, you just have to play him.
Arizona bats, anything here?
No, not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you could. The problem is, like, Strider does give up some home runs, but pinpointing where the home run is going to come from is next to impossible. And Atlanta has a good bullpen. I'm not gonna play any Arizona bats.
I can't wait until we send Charlie Morton to the bullpen and get us another strong starting arm. If we get Morton to the bullpen, oh gosh, we'd be elite.
He had a good first outing, though.
No, he did. He did.
Yeah, I mean, do you want? Okay, not to rant or get sidetracked, but when you want Renato Lopez in the bullpen over Morton, I feel like you'd want Morton's a more consistent starter. Like, he might not have as much upside as Lopez, but Lopez coming in and throwing gas is going to be better than Morton throwing junk out of the bullpen.
Yeah. No doubt. I guess what I'm saying is, I'd love for Ronaldo Lopez to go to the bullpen too. I'm saying, can we?
Bring them all in.
Can we get us a starting combination of a Strider, a DeGrom, like one of those types of rotations? Like, we don't have that type of rotation. I'm waiting for the days where we can get a Strider, DeGrom type rotation. Oh, it's gonna be lovely. Anyway,
I think you had a pretty good rotation. Like, all right,
I know.
As a Red Sox fan, I think you guys got a pretty good rotation. Like,
listen, Chris Sale's there. We're just hoping he makes it through the year. If Chris Sale can make it through the year completely healthy, I feel much better in October. Much better.
Oh, yeah. Great pickup if he can get there. All right, let's talk Atlanta bats. I'm very interested in the righties. Like, I want to play the righties here for Atlanta. Just about any one of them. I like Ozuna a lot. Like Duvall. On the cheap end, Arcia. What are your thoughts here when it comes to Atlanta?
Oh yeah, love Atlanta, man. Stacking this team up big time. I don't know how much ownership Acuna is going to get to that. I'm very interested to see. I know he's facing a lefty Stevie, and Atlanta may in fact be popular. Ozuna's kind of started the season hitting pretty well so far, so I like him. I don't mind the lefty spot for Olsen here. I know a lot of people may shy away from that. I won't be. I still think he's fine. Austin Riley, 5,700. The problem is Atlanta's expensive, Stevie. And if I'm playing the Braves bats, I most likely don't have Strider in those lineups. And that's kind of the give and take, I think, of this slate. You'll have to play a different offense with Strider. Unless, last year we went to the bottom of the order and did some really unique things. I think we can probably get away with one big bat and a bottom of the order stack. But generally speaking, Atlanta's expensive, but I'm going to stack them, but I won't be able to play them with Strider.
Yeah, I mean, Ozuna, Duvall, Arcia, d'Arnaud, and one of Acuna or Riley, and I think you'd be able to fit Strider. But Strider being 11K on DK makes it a lot tougher to – and, okay, so, like, if you're stacking Atlanta and playing Strider, well, everyone's going to have that same stack that I just mentioned with him. So – the thing is, like, if you're playing the Atlanta stack today, we're going to get – I mean, there's 3 to 5 pitchers in this mid-tier I think you can play today. Like, the mid-tier is great today.
Yeah, exactly.
White Sox and Royals, 8.5 total here. The Royals, a 175 favorite. Eric Fede against Brady Singer. Fede actually, he had 7 strikeouts against Detroit in his opening day start. I hope his strikeout prop comes in high because of that start. Talk to me here about Fede.
So let me talk about Eric Fede here. Stevie, he faced Detroit. It could be a fluke. Here's what I will tell you. He went to KBO. His strikeout stuff spiked about 30%. That's what he was in K. He was a 30% K guy in KBO. I'm not saying he's going to be 30% in the major leagues. What I am saying is if he can hover in the mid-20s consistently, like, this is a guy we're going to be able to use. He's got to get it done against Kansas City. Kansas City wasn't an incredibly high strikeout team in spring training. We'll see how they work out. Obviously, I know they just put a pounding on the White Sox today. I mean, last I checked, they had at least 10 runs, 8 to 10 runs, I think, Stevie, in that spot. I am expecting Kansas City to put up some nice performances this season. I think I'm going to let my affection for him in KBO sway me. At 7,200, he's going to be one of my cheap guys that I take a shot with. I'm going to take some shots with Fede, and let's see if he can pull off another performance. If he gives me 18, I think I'm okay. I'll take 18 from Fede in this spot at 7,200, Stevie. But once again, I'm gonna. He had 96 pitches. He's fully stretched. Let's see if he can get through 5 innings fairly clean, or possibly upside for 6 and keep that strikeout upside. If that's the case, he's still a touch too cheap. But once again, I'm just taking a couple shots with him today, not committing to like 30% or anything like that.
Okay, so I knew the whole KBO thing was going to come up, so I did some digging. That's what I do, Will. I do some digging. The fans, the listeners, they want to know from a pitcher's mind what's different. And from the pitcher's mind, what's different is he added a split finger. He, in his first start and in the KBO, did not use his cutter a lot. And he went from heavy cutters to mixing fastball, slider, splitter. We'll see how it translates over. I mean, now we have more data, right? Like, now after the Detroit start, Kansas City's going to come out with more data. All right, well, we got to look for the splitter instead of the cutter. So I think that is one of the biggest differences that I saw. The other thing that I saw is he was up in velocity on average. His fastball's up in velocity. So Fede, a guy that we picked on a lot, we're seeing him closer in velocity to like his 2000 2021 velocity, and 2021 he still got hit hard. So his that was his highest strikeout rate of his career, though. He had a 21.7% strikeout rate that year. That was the highest he's ever had. He had a 9% swinging strike rate that season. So again, maybe I play the wait and see approach on like stacking against him. I don't know if I want to play him today, but I did want to like do the service of digging in and like finding out what's different. And the biggest thing that I saw was he's relying a lot less on the cutter, throwing the splitter more, which has a little bit more break to it, and using the splitter, his newfound pitch.
Here's what I will say, Stevie. I'm going to give you this parallel. If the splitter is going to work for him, he's going to be much closer to Kevin Gausman than the old Eric Fetty. I'm not saying Kevin Gausman. I'm not saying he's Kevin. I'm saying if the splitter's working, because Gausman is like the guy in my mind that probably throws more splitters than anybody. Him and I think it's one of the guys. It's Sean Manaea, not Manaea. Is it there's one of the guys that probably throws the splitter about as much as Gausman. But I'm saying if it's going to work for him, he's going to be closer to Gausman than like the old Fetty, which is why I think we saw the strikeout rate spike in KBO, which is a high contact league. Lower quality bats overall, obviously, but they're still pretty high contact. They want to hit to get on base, not to hit home runs.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens here overall, but I think the best comp that I always think about is just how bad Miles Mikolas went over to KBO, developed like a bunch of off speed, like swinging miss pitches, and like he always had really good control. Came back over and was like dominant like the first like month and a half, 2 months of coming back over, and then like as the data started coming out, Mikolas started getting hit a lot. So I mean, maybe if you were to play Eric Fetty, this would be the start. This would be the time to do it. Like, so honestly, the time to do it probably would have been his first start back.
And I did play him.
Yeah. Let's talk about Brady Singer on the other side here. Kind of a guy that we talked about a lot towards the end of last season. Somebody that I really liked towards the end of last season. Any interest here in Singer?
Oh man, love Singer today. He's one of these mid-range guys, Steven. I think you also take a shot on facing the White Sox. I don't feel like the White Sox are a dominant team. I was not expecting him to come out and put up double-digit strikeouts right out of the gate, Stevie. I mean, first start, 7 innings pitched, 10 Ks, 98 pitches. I will say this, the Kansas City Royals did have a really solid plan for their pitching staff for spring training. Most guys started with 2 innings, then 4 innings, then 5 innings. Like they kind of worked their way up, the whole pitching staff. So Singer is a guy that was ready to go. Once again, at 8,700, I think he's in that mid-range like you talked about, another sweet spot pitcher and what I think is a fairly good matchup for him at home. So I like Singer today, no doubt about it.
He's probably my favorite pitcher on the slate. We saw close to velocity from the beginning of last season, and the slider was just so nasty against Minnesota. He doesn't throw his changeup a lot. He's really like a 2-pitch guy. White Sox lineup stinks. I mean, I'm gonna live and die by picking on the White Sox lineup all year. This lineup is not good whatsoever. Nicky Lopez is an everyday starter for this team. No offense, Nicky. I know you probably listen, but hey, you don't want me to make those jokes. Get that ISO up, dude. Overall though, all joking aside, Brady Singer, I think that he's a guy that could just absolutely dominate the White Sox here. So, Josh in chat says Fetty's strikeout prop is 3.5 on DK. I think I think I like the over on that. I'm with you.
It should have been 4.5. No way it should be 3.5. That's crazy.
Instantly pulling up the Hard Rock app to see if it's not available yet. So I'll be looking. Josh, I like that one. I like the over. What's the juice? I'm sure you're paying juice on that. What's the juice? All right, let's talk bats. Anything here on the White Sox that you like?
No, I'm not playing the White Sox.
No, I'm a full believer in Singer. He's probably going to be my highest owned pitcher on the slate, and I don't see the upside in a White Sox head stack. Kansas City, like if I do end up playing like Fetty, or even if I don't play Fetty, I'll probably build at least one Kansas City stack here, and it's more of just the fact that if Fetty's not good, over is plus 115. Yeah, I like that one.
Josh, take that right now, like right now. Yeah. I don't think no way it ends there today. I just can't see it ending at plus 115.
No, I like that one too. I'm with you. I'll be writing that up on Scores and Odds when we're done with the podcast. So
my God. I'm hopping in my little space right now, Stevie, to see if I can get it. Like that's
yeah, that one's I like that one. It's like it's not like the Royals are this like low strikeout team. Like you said, they had a good spring, but I mean, we watched Soroka have a really solid game against them, and he stinks. I was so mad. I tilted him. Like Witt gets on to start the sixth inning, and I'm like, all right, Soroka under 16 and a half outs is live, and then Witt steals second, safe by a mile, slides off the bag, ruins the momentum of the inning. Get the out there, get the next two outs, and I'm like, gosh, I was tilted, but. You know, there's strikeouts. Perez is a strikeout guy. Garcia is a strikeout guy. Melendez strikes out. Hunter Renfroe strikes out. Yeah, so there's strikeouts in this lineup. I like Fetty. Let's talk about the Royals bats. Again, I like the Royals a little bit here today. Not as much as I liked them yesterday. I stacked them every which way I could on DraftKings and Yahoo. But I still like them more of it probably as a mini stack here.
Yeah, man. I kind of don't want to play Kansas City, to be honest with you, because I just feel like there's some other teams that I want to play. But I do like some of these bats. Like, I mean, we saw Velasquez and Melendez. I mean, they just had monster days, on the previous slate. I'm not saying they're going to do it today, but they do have some upside. I still think they're a little bit too cheap even against Fetty. So I think I take. I run, a few stacks out of my mass multi-entry build, and not necessarily to hedge per se, even though I am going to play Fetty, but just to get some exposure. I mean, sometimes, Stevie, like you said, we saw Soroka today come out and have an okay performance, and Kansas City still put up a whole bunch of runs later on. So I think I still play a touch of Kansas City.
All right, moving on. We got Houston at Texas. It bothers me every time. Old listeners, new listeners, everyone knows this. I hate saying Houston at Texas. It drives me insane. 9.5 total in this game. Houston a slight 126 favorite. Hunter Brown against Cody Bradford. Any interest here in Hunter Brown?
Oh man, Stevie, this is a tough one for me because I do know that Brown does have some upside. Like there is some upside with Brown. I don't think he has enough upside against Texas. So I'm going to leave him on the shelf today because I think in the 8K range, like we talked about Singer, like Singer's my guy too in the 8K range, but there's one other guy or two other guys. Like, do I think Brown has more raw upside than Green? I don't think so, Stevie. No way. And there's one other guy in the 8K range that I'm absolutely going to be playing today. So I think Brown gets left out, especially since I'm going to play Fetty. And I'm okay with that. I don't know if he has quite enough upside against Texas.
See, I kind of like Brown. I love the talent prospects, like long-term for Hunter Brown.
Yeah.
Now, like, Nate Lowe is already on the IL. Jung fractured his wrist. I don't know I think it happened on Wednesday. I kind of like Brown in this spot. Like the lineup overall looks a lot worse now. Like, I mean, Josh Smith, Duran, Tavari, like there's a lot of Jared Walsh. There's a lot of strikeouts in this lineup. So I might play Hunter Brown on like 1 of 5, but I do like the long-term prospects of Hunter Brown. I think he has a lot of talent. He's a huge prospect. So I really do think I will end up playing him on a little bit here, just in general for what it's worth. So I still worry about the Texas bats. I still think it's a good lineup. We do have better options in this range as far as matchups are concerned. But I just like the potential more than anything else in this spot. I like him even more the fact that I really do think he's going to be overlooked in this spot. So,
yeah.
Bradford on the other side, he's a lefty. He gets a terrible matchup here. Whether or not Cody Bradford is good or not, it's still way too early to tell in his career, but he's facing one of the best teams in baseball against left-handed pitching. I got nothing on Cody Bradford today.
Yep, not playing him. Not at all.
Yeezy said he likes the overs in this game. I like the over on Houston's runs if it's 4.5. I haven't looked yet, but I don't know if I bet the full over on this game. Maybe 9.5's high. All right, Houston bats against the lefty. I mean, Altuve, Bregman, Diaz, McCormick, Pena. I mean, all these guys are going to be in play for me. And again, I say it all the time. I love Chaz against left-handed pitching. And Diaz is finally up to the point where you actually have to think about playing him or not at 4,200. Finally. What are your thoughts on the Astros?
Yeah, man, I still think you play him. There's enough mid-range pitching to get it done. You know, we've got Jose Abreu, who, man, is not doing much. So I don't know. You know, he'll be in some of my larger stacks. You know, Bregman still hasn't eclipsed 5K, hasn't earned it yet. Full disclosure, has not earned the right to be over 5K, Stevie. So he shouldn't be. Altuve 5,300, Pena 3,900, Alvarez and Tucker up there, but you got McCormick and a couple other guys that you can roll in. So I like this team, Stevie. I like the salary distribution. You don't have to play all the expensive guys. You can kind of piece some things together. So this is a good spot for this team, I think, and should be a tough matchup for Bradshaw for sure.
Texas bats. You know, if you don't believe in Brown or you just believe in the Texas lineup, that's fine. I talked about this on Grinders Live or Crunch Time. I was on Crunch Time the other day. Wyatt Langford, everything this kid is hitting is hard. Like he's eventually going to get some launch angles right, and he's eventually going to start hitting home runs. But everything this dude is hitting right now is hard. I mean, he has a 53% hard hit rate through his first few games of his career. He's hitting everything hard.
Yeah, I mean, I still like this team, Stevie. I know Walsh was going to strike out, but you get Simeon at 5K. You know, you've got Duran, who's going to play a little bit now. I'm not sure if they're going to play Matt Duffy. I think they're going to play way more Duran than Duffy. Corey Seager, I mean, you can play him in almost every spot. So, I mean, all this kid does is rate. You still got Garcia. You talked about Langford. I think there's enough quality bats here to give Brown a few problems up and down. So I like this game in general. I think once again, I don't think I go full 5-man on Texas. I probably go 3 to 4 max, probably mainly 3-mans, but I still like the spot. Houston, I'm for sure going 5-mans here.
Yeah, Carter doesn't have a hit this season, but he's walks and steals bases and scores runs. Like, yeah, I mean, Evan Carter's going to start hitting too. So, yeah, this team's going to start hitting and start rolling. Corey Seager always, like you said, always in play. Michael Armstrong says, stuck in traffic here in Orlando. Thanks for making the time go by faster on the 408. They must be doing some construction because traffic on the 408 at 11 o'clock, that's rough as someone that uses the 408 a lot. All right, Seattle against Milwaukee in this one. Logan Gilbert, Freddie Peralta, 7.5 total. Pick'em game. Logan Gilbert and Freddie Peralta. What are we doing with Gilbert here?
I'm playing him, Steve. That's what I'm saying. He's one of these guys below 10K, 9,600. Had a really nice season last season. Obviously opened up against Boston. What I was encouraged to see those, Stevie, 91 pitches, got through 7 innings, 8 strikeouts. He will have some strikeout opportunities with this team in Milwaukee. On the road, won't matter. Love Gilbert today. I'm not saying he has this same dominant performance, but I think it's something close. I think it's close enough, Stevie. So at 9,500, you're getting a $1,500 discount off Strider, which could open it up for a few extra bats. Like Gilbert here. Definitely think the strikeouts will be there today.
Yeah, I'm gonna be digging into Gilbert a little bit. I want to know what he did differently against left-handed batters in that first start, because he was making the lefties for Boston whiff like a ton. So I watched that game. Love when Boston's on the West Coast, because like usually the podcast is done and I'm usually working on other stuff, and like I get to watch the Sox play. But yeah, Gilbert, he was making the lefties whiff hard. Like I was looking again, it's one start, so I want to see if it was just an outlier or not. But he had 46.5% K rate with a massive like 34% whiff rate against lefties in that first start. Yeah. I am with you. I like I like Gilbert a lot. Hey, I like Freddie Peralta a lot too. You know, we talk about Seattle strikeouts. I mean, this is an excellent spot to play either one of these pitchers or both of these pitchers. I mean, both of these guys have a ton of upside in this spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Love Freddie Peralta as well, Stevie. He's a little cheaper, $9,300, getting a $1,700 discount off Strider. And I legitimately think, Stevie, if Freddie Peralta's on in this type of spot here at home against Seattle, he's not Spencer Strider. But I think for the price, Stevie, if Strider puts up 35-ish and he gets to 29, I think Freddie's still the better play. And so I really like Freddie today at this price. I think it's a good spot for him. I think the strikeouts will be there. If BABIP is on his side, Stevie, like in the last game, BABIP was on his side. He faced the Mets. It's not like he faced – and once again, the Mets aren't the same, but he faced the Mets, only gave up one hit, Stevie, one walk. For him, that's spectacular. He's a guy that typically gives up 5 or 6 hits, 2 or 3 walks, and still gets the strikeouts. If he can continue to be efficient in this spot, increase the strikeouts, I think we see a really nice performance and love Freddie Peralta today.
Yeah, I always build out a team before the podcast just to kind of get an idea of what I'm looking at, and like I really liked where the Peralta Singer builds were giving me that. Yeah, so that'd probably end up being my main combo, depending on how stuff kind of shapes up. And for what it's worth, like how you attack Peralta is like left-handed power, and Polanco's the best left-handed power bat in this lineup. That tells you a lot about this lineup.
You're not worried about JP Crawford at all.
No, so many strikeouts too. So many righties. Like, first of all, they can't get left-handed heavy. This dude strikes out righties at a huge clip. Clip. 36% last season. His swinging strike rate was 16%. That's elite. 16% swinging strike rate over a course of a season is elite.
That's what I'm saying.
I have zero interest in bats in this game. No, if bats beat me in this game, they beat me. Like, there'll be a home run or two probably, but I mean, this is a game that is not going to see a lot of scored runs.
Yeah, I'm with you, Stevie, 100%.
You're playing bats from that game. You're hoping for some bullpen runs, so not doing it. Boston at LA taking on the Angels is where we finish out. 8.5 total. Angels a slight favorite, but pretty much a pick'em game. Cutter, Crawford, Griffin, Canning facing off against each other. Any interest here in Cutter Crawford?
Yes, Stevie. Yep. This is my other guy in the 8K range, 8,400. He got Seattle to start the season, and we saw the performance there. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts. But the thing is, Stevie, I don't think this is noise. We saw him in spring training build up into this like consistently. Like if you follow his spring training starts, he pretty much was over a strikeout per inning in almost every start, Stevie. So if he went 2 innings, he got 3. If he went 3 innings, you were seeing 4. If he went 4 innings, he was getting 5 to 6. So I don't think this is noise for him. Another year under his belt, facing a team that's also going to give him some strikeouts in LA or in the Angels. I like Cutter Crawford at 8,400. He's one of my favorite pitchers today that I think won't get the ownership. I think people will play Hunter Green. I think they'll play Singer. I think they'll play Nola, Peralta, Gilbert, Strider. I feel like he's the odd man out in the mid-range at 8,400, and I think that's a mistake. Cutter Crawford, I think, is going to have a good outing here against the Angels. I love him today.
Yeah, he is really kind of developing into a guy that could be a huge part of the Red Sox like future. So again, like you have Trout, but now Trout is not protected by Ohtani anymore. So you're going to pitch Trout just completely different this year than you have the last few years when he's been healthy and Ohtani's been on the court or on the field as well. So I'm with you on Crawford. And this slate is just fantastic. It's just a fantastic slate overall because there's so many ways to approach this slate in general. Any interest here in Canning on the other side?
No.
Yeah, I mean, you're a little concerned about his first start, but you're also like, all right, Boston lineup has not.
Need him today, though. I think really what it is. Sorry,
I think I should
have clarified it.
Yeah, I don't think he's like this guy that's like a bad pitcher by any means, but I think what you're saying makes more sense. Of like, we probably just don't need him today. Yeah. So we'll see. Bats in this one. Any interest here in the Red Sox bats?
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about the Red Sox today, Stevie. I don't think this is a super duper spot. Look, if you're telling me, you want to play Rafael Devers, I'm not going to fight you on that. Like, I mean, he's Rafael Devers. The guy is great. There are some other lefties in this lineup. Like if they run Yoshida out there and you want to play Yoshida, that's fine. Or Casas, if you want to play him, okay. But I'm not rushing to stack up Boston for what it's worth. And I do think Boston is going to play better than what we anticipated on paper, Stevie. I think this team's going to be better in the end than maybe where we all thought they would end up. And I know you'll feel happy about that. With what feels like, I guess, maybe a team is just kind of thrown together. But I like them, but I'm not going to target them today.
I don't think Tyler O'Neill can keep hitting as well as he has been to start the season. You do expect like Devers to keep doing his thing, and Duran is someone that we saw last year kind of take that next step. So like, I mean, those two guys, sure. I don't mind maybe one or two bats here from Boston. Canning's not an overpowering pitcher. Other side, any interest here in the Angels?
No.
Yeah, I mean, you can play Trout on any slate. I just don't know how much you're going to get to Trout at 5,900. I will say, like, the price tag on Ward is really nice. He is someone that he's a major league hitter. His price tag is nice at 4,300, but I like Ward a lot more against left-handed pitching than I do against right-handed pitching. So, yeah. Let's play the morning grind game. I think that pretty much wraps up that morning grind game for sure. Oh, under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. Who do you got today?
Well, Stevie, I don't think this is a secret here. It's got to be my boy, Mr. Eric Fetty from the KBO. Played for the NC Dinos. Don't let me down, Fetty. Keep this train rolling. And I will happily keep accepting the sports books being down on you with 3.5 strikeouts. This is fantastic if you guys can get it. Oof.
So, okay, I'm the host. I can do what I want. I'm going to go Hunter Brown right at 8K because I don't think Bradford, Quintana, Henry, or Corbin are getting the strikeouts. I think Brown and Fetty probably have the best two chances. So I'm breaking my own rules. Over 8K to score under 15. Who's your bust today?
Got to be Aaron Nola. He's the odd man out for me. Struggling. The only way, if he struggles today, that's how he gets there, Stevie. Because I really don't see anybody else going under 15 fantasy points over 8K. I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say Hunter Green, and it's more of just the ballpark than it is Hunter Green. I think Hunter Green has a lot of elite like upside.
Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Stevie fell out a little bit. I'm sure he'll be right back. So don't sweat that. I'm going to try to finish this out. He was saying it was Hunter Green was his choice at 8,300. I definitely understand his stance on Hunter Green for what it's worth, just because Hunter Green, if he has those control issues, right, then at that point, that I think is what would what would cause him to miss the mark. So Hunter Green, 8,300. That's going to be Stevie's choice for less than 15 fantasy points. And Stevie's back.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, I listen. I love Fangraphs. I don't want to like dog Fangraphs at all. But has anybody else been having like Fangraphs issues ever since?
Yeah, they load slow. It's terrible.
It literally just crashed my whole Chrome. So
yeah.
My answer was Hunter Green. I think I got that out there. So did you
I did do the spiel for them on why I felt like you chose Hunter Green. Yeah. High upside, but has control issues. Could get hit around a little bit, and that bring his fantasy points down.
We've been working together a long time. Will gets me. I'm not used to being on this side. This side. This side. All right. Over 4K to hit a home run. Who do you got to go yard today?
Man, I'm gonna go with the guy, Stevie. That I'm going hometown here. I gotta stay there. Give me Marcelo Ozuna, 4,500. Let's see a missile go out of Truist Park today.
Yeah, I like that. Great ballpark, man. I love that ballpark. One of my favorite ballparks to go to.
Oh, Truist is games. Amazing. Yeah.
I'm going to go with my boy Nick Castellanos. I talked about him. I absolutely love this spot for him today. Under 4K to get 2 hits. Who's a cheap bet that you like today?
Man, Stevie, we got a lot of them today. I was trying to think through different scenarios. Look, man. I think oh, this is a tough one. I'm trying not to go to Atlanta Braves because we've got d'Arnaud at 3,700. I think I'm just going d'Arnaud. I think he gets there, Stevie. Like Henry's rough. I think he gets there. Give me d'Arnaud.
I think Stuart Fairchild cracks the lineup today for the Reds at 3K. Obviously love this matchup a lot here, going up against Quintana. Hopefully, he draws a good enough lineup spot where he gets 2 or 3 at bats against the lefty. But give me Fairchild here at 3K to get 2 hits today. Did it on opening day as well. Stack to score 6 or more runs. Who do you got today?
I am going with the Philadelphia Phillies, Stevie. Love them today against Corbin. No secret there. Give me the Phillies.
Yeah, I'm going to go Astros. They're probably my top stack today. As much as I like Atlanta and as much as I like Philly and Cincy, I listen, Cody Bradford, lefty against this team, power up and down. Yeezy was talking about the over in this game, and I'm just excited to play some Astros today. I love their overall ceiling on this slate. So, yeah, I'm going to go Astros in this one. Let's talk player props or pick 'em plays. Anything jumping off the board here for you?
Listen, they're giving us Brady Singer. Stevie, I don't know what's going on. Something's going on here. Brady Singer, 5.5 strikeouts, plus 125 on DraftKings, plus 125 on Bet365 in the same game as Fetty. I think the over's in order, Stevie. This is amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I saw that. So that was one of the ones that I had written down. So I'm with you on that one. I like that one a lot. So I'm right there with you. I saw that one, and man, I think there's a lot of good ones today. I'm going to go to Jose Altuve at over 1.5 total bases at even money. I absolutely love this spot today for Jose Altuve going up against Bradford. So give me Altuve. We know he's going to hit towards the top of the order. We know he's likely locked in for 4 at-bats with the potential of that 5th at-bat. So give me Altuve to get over 1.5 total bases at even money. Any lines or anything jumping off to you here?
Let's see, Stevie. I was just on that page too, actually. Man. I mean, really, Stevie, I think this is actually a good line. They're giving us Houston. We're getting at minus 125 on Bet River. I mean, it's around 130, 135 everywhere else. I think that's pretty good considering I'm expecting them to win this game. I like them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great one. I'm with you on. I like Houston. The one that I wrote down today is Phillies minus a half a run for the first 5 innings at minus 125. You get this on BetMGM.
Stevie.
Aaron Nola against.
Is that a promo? Is that a promo?
No, Aaron Nola against Patrick Corbin and Bet Rivers. If you really feel confident, you can get him at minus 1.5 through the first 5 innings for plus 140 on Bet Rivers. But I wrote down minus a half a run, so Phillies need to be up by 1 run basically through the first 5 innings for us to hit this one. But I like Nola against this Washington lineup, Corbin against the Phillies lineup. I really do like this first 5 innings, half a run upside. I mean, the money line is 175, and I get like the juice part of it. Like, you can push with the money line, but you can't push with the run line. So I get that aspect, but Patrick Corbin would have to have a heck of a game to not be losing this one against Nola. So give me Phillies minus a half a run, minus 125 over there on BetMGM. Will, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Negative. Enjoyed it tonight, man. I think this is a good pod, Steve. We just got a chance to talk and chop it up a little bit. So glad I could come on, and hopefully we help the people make a few dollars.
Yeah, it's been a great start to the season for the podcast. If everyone's been hanging out with us and listening to the podcast, it's been a great start to the season. We've been on a lot of stuff to start the year, and let's just keep it rolling. I mean, that's my goal, is to keep it rolling. I love baseball. I obviously know a lot about baseball. I spent a lot of time in my life playing baseball and following baseball, so appreciate everyone hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you like this show, hit the subscribe. Help us grow. We're going to get out of here. Have a fantastic weekend. We're back on Monday talking baseball. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you.